it's happening in an important international and national context, I think, for Kenya. The first is that President Ruto has been very energetically engaged with the climate change reform process. We had, of course, the African Climate Summit recently in Nairobi, and he has been very engaged in regional conflicts, particularly around Ethiopia, Somalia, Somaliland, and DRC. So that's the international context, I think, for this. And it comes at an interesting point because I think his popularity internationally is probably at his highest level, particularly if you go back 10 years or so when he was indicted by the International Criminal Court and was a suspect before that court on grounds of genocide and crimes against humanity. So he's made a remarkable shift in the last decade to this, as you say, this honor to be invited in this way. But I think domestically, he faces a number of challenges. He's probably at his lowest in terms of popularity. He's routinely booed in several rallies across the country. The cost of living is unbearable for most, and many Kenyans feel that the taxation regime is too onerous for many Kenyans in this context. So it's going to be an interesting context for this meeting.
Yeah. Now, many times when African presidents visit, and it might be happening with presidents from other regions, they use this to sell themselves at home, to kind of show people, look, over there they think I'm a great man. But when I speak to people in Kenya, they tell a different story than what people outside of Kenya tell about, say, the president of Kenya. Is that a source of frustration for some in terms of being able to truly articulate the issues that are important to them locally, as opposed to perhaps what a Kenyan president may be doing or saying on international forums, or even doing and engaging with internationally?
Yeah. No, I think for Amnesty International, we would say that President Ruto's superpower is not his personality, it's not even his energy, it's not the fact that he has traveled, very vigorously over the last year and a half. It is really that he comes from a country where there is a strong constitution, there is a rule of law, governance system, there are separation of powers between the judiciary, legislature, and the executive. There is a vibrant civil society and a media. That's what he has as his capital, to project globally. And it would all mean nothing if back home he was facing conflict, insecurity, and I guess a lack of delivery on the core promises of his coalition, the promises that were made during the last elections. So I think it's always important to keep an institutional framework and a context for leadership in the global world. We've seen too many what we call strong men being picked up by the global West, and essentially what happens is over a period of time they tend to lose their base. I mean, I think the most recent one potentially was, or really is Macky Sall in Senegal.